Have you ever asked yourself, what's wrong with me? Why can't I heal? After all that you have tried and not gotten better, it's easy to be convinced that there must be something wrong. We go to the doctor, they are looking for things to be wrong. When we go to the dentist, they're looking for things to be wrong. Everywhere we go, we are given the message that there is something wrong with us, or we are looking for evidence that there is. Then we get sick and go doctor to doctor, treatment to treatment, and nothing works. We get labels that tell us what we have, but don't offer any permanent solutions. Again, clarification that something is wrong with us. The truth is, there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. While this belief you may feel true, I'm here to help clear that belief for you today. This belief alone can stop healing in its tracks. So if you want to heal, this episode is for you. Welcome to the Simplify Your Healing podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Peterson, and I'm a mind-body coach helping those with chronic illness get back their life and health using the same mind-body techniques that I use to heal myself of chronic illness. In this episode, I'm going to talk about one of the biggest beliefs that people come to me with, that there must be something wrong with them because they can't heal. As I mentioned in the last episode, all illness starts in the subconscious. In exception to poisoning and physical trauma, all illnesses are manifestations that start in the mind. The body is metaphorically representing the stress that is within the mind. Your body is taking the hit so you can still live. This is how your body is designed, and it's an amazing design if we choose to see it that way, rather than think that there is something wrong when symptoms show. If what is being represented on a physical level is a representation of what is being held within the mind, then is there really something wrong with you? I want you to think about that. If what is being represented on a physical level, meaning your symptoms, is a representation of what is being held within the mind, then is there really something wrong with you? Your body really is only doing what it's designed to do. It's designed to work based on the messages that it's given. So it's actually working completely fine. Being mad at your body and thinking badly about it nonstop is actually creating a stress response, something that we learned about in the last podcast, which is keeping your brain in a heightened state. And this belief that there is something wrong with you is keeping you sick. This belief, along with a few others, is one of the most common beliefs that people come to me with. The thing about beliefs is that we are the only ones that can give meaning to them. We are the only ones that can determine if that belief is true. But as long as you believe that there is something wrong with you, then it will be true. In fact, your brain will continue looking for proof that is true because that is how the law of attraction, or specifically the reticular activating system in your brain works. Yes, there's an actual spot in your brain that works to attract what you think about, what you focus on. So if you think that there's something wrong with you, you tell yourself that, or you beat yourself up or talk badly to yourself, it will continue to find proof to prove that to be true. That's how that system is designed. Whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter. It just knows this is the message we got. We need to go find the proof. So getting rid of this belief that there's something wrong with you is crucial to your healing. Because it's not only trauma that can keep the stress response activated in the brain, like we talked about in the last episode, the memories and the trauma that we've experienced over our lifetime, but the thoughts and beliefs that you have can as well. They are traumatic to your brain. If you have a belief that the world is unsafe, the brain will stay on high alert in order to protect you. Everywhere you will go, you will be in a heightened state because you don't feel safe. It doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. All your brain knows is the messages it's receiving. So the same is true for any negative belief that you walk around with, whether it's, I don't feel safe, I'm not good enough, there's something wrong with me. Today we're focusing on what's wrong with you, that belief. So let's take a look at that belief that something is wrong with you and think about how it keeps the brain in a stress heightened state. Because we know that stress heightened state, that stress response, if it's being stuck on high, that's why we're not healing. That's why we are in this chronic cycle of illness. So we want to ask ourselves, what is getting in the way of us healing with that. And it is memories, it is the traumas, but there's also these beliefs and thoughts that can really contribute and make this whole thing kind of blaze into a big old fire. So I want you to imagine telling a young child that there is something wrong with them, that their body is broken. Now, upon telling them this, whether it's true or not, they believe it because it's coming from an adult. We know kids, they just don't have the maturity or life experience enough to question it. If it comes from an adult, we're talking young children, they're not going to question it. They believe you. They don't question it. They just move forward with it because an adult told them or someone that they trust. And so their first response is going to be a lot of questions. What do you mean something is wrong? Or will I die? Can I still play? Those questions in their mind are all fear-based, and the emotion of fear is connected to those thoughts. And that fear activates the survival system of the brain and immediately sends a stress response to the body. This child has been programmed to think that there is something wrong, and unless that program is changed, the brain will continue believing it's true, and the body will respond accordingly to that until it's changed. Until that child grows up and decides to believe something different, changes that stress response in the brain, that message will influence everything that child is doing as long as that child believes that. So this is the same for you as an adult. The only difference is that you have the ability to question it and choose to believe it or not. You've been convinced that this belief is true based off of your experiences up to this point. But now that you know where illness really starts, if you listen to my last couple podcasts, in the subconscious mind is what we talk about, where it all begins. If we really believe that, or if we're even jumping on that train, is this belief really true anymore? If you know that illness starts in the subconscious, or you're open to believing that that is true, how can this belief that something is wrong with you really be true anymore? You have a different understanding. You can choose to believe it or not believe it. You do have a choice. So maybe you need a little more proof for you to fully let go of this belief that there's something wrong, that it's all physical, that it's all within the body, and we've got to resolve it from the physical level. Maybe you need more proof of that. Maybe some science to prove that this isn't true. Well, I got you covered. Let me introduce you to German New Medicine. It's probably something that you've never heard of before because, things that are simple and effective in healing our bodies are never really talked about. In fact, because when something is so simple, we are convinced that it must be more complicated than that. Healing cannot be that simple. Well, that is what you've been led to believe, and remember, I'm here to keep things simple. German New Medicine is the science to debunking the belief that there is something wrong with you, that your body is diseased. It is the scientific proof that physical ailments start in the mind. Once I learned about German New Medicine, it all became clear to me. It helped simplify my healing so much that I became a consultant and now use this work with my clients. Let me give you a brief explanation of what it is. Dr. Hammer was a doctor from Germany that specialized in internal medicine with cancer patients. In the early 1970s, Dr. Hammer received a shocking call that his son Dirk had been shot. A few months later, Dirk passed due to his injuries. Shortly after losing his son, Dr. Hammer was diagnosed with testicular cancer. Since he had never been seriously ill, he wondered if there was a correlation between the loss of his son and the cancer. He began to investigate his cancer patients, their histories, and soon learned that, like him, they all had experienced an unexpected shock of one sort or another. But he took his research even further, pursuing the hypothesis that all bodily processes are controlled from the brain. He analyzed his patients' brain scans and compared them with their medical records and personal histories. To his amazement, he found a clear correlation between certain types of conflict shocks, events in our lives that are traumatic or shocking to us, how these shocks manifest themselves on the organ level as specific symptoms, and how all this is connected to the brain. In his amazement, he found a clear correlation between certain types of conflict shocks. To his amazement, he found a clear correlation between certain types of conflict shocks in our life that come out of nowhere or events that happen that we're not able to process. How these shocks manifest themselves on the organ level as specific symptoms, and how all this is connected to the brain. Until then, no studies had examined the role of the brain as the mediator between the psyche and a diseased organ. So Dr. Hammer established that every disease originates from a shock or trauma that catches an individual completely by surprise. The moment the unexpected conflict occurs, the shock strikes a specific predetermined area in the brain, causing a lesion, which is visible on a brain scan as a set of sharp concentric rings. And the brain cells that receive the shock send a biochemical signal to the corresponding body cells. Guys, biochemical. This is real. It happens in the brain. We've got the science to support this. In 100% of people that have had a particular type of symptom, there is specific activity in one particular area of the brain 100% of the time. From the brain scans, Hamer was able to connect the activity in the brain to a specific organ. So when looking at the medical history of the patient, the brain scan and listening to their personal stories, he saw the clear correlations. Over the course of 40 years of research, he mapped out the psyche, brain, and body connection. He confirmed his findings of these simple healing processes while he worked with over 40,000 patients. Dr. Hamer had a 92% success rate with using this approach. We don't even have close to 92% success rate with our medical approaches that we use here in the medical field. So this information is powerful to your healing. Why? Because it confirms that nothing is wrong with you. It confirms that it all starts within that subconscious. The perception and meaning that you gave past events is what is causing your physical symptoms. Your body is working exactly how it's designed. It's designed to be working directly based off of what is happening within the brain. I get it. Healing symptoms are not always fun. When you know German New Medicine, you start your healing journey with the foundation of knowing your body is not diseased, that there is nothing wrong with you, but is going through a natural biological process of healing. And with this knowledge, your healing journey becomes empowered rather than feeling defeated. You're able to trust your body rather than fear it or be mad at it. And rather than saying that there is something wrong, you can ask your body, what are you trying to tell me? What message are you trying to give me? And just an FYI on this, German New Medicine is not a modality per se. It's not a protocol or modality, to use for a type of treatment with somebody. It is a tool that is used to make the connections to the physical symptoms. So you have a certain symptom, then we can make that connection to where it is in the brain, and then we can take it from there. And so I'm trained in it and use it with all of my students, but then I use other modalities to resolve the stress within the mind. It's not an actual protocol. It's the first step that we start with to know what protocol do we use. So the physical symptoms you have are back to events in your life, those shocks, those things that you were unable to process, that your subconscious is still thinking are running. They're still running from that tiger. They don't know, it does not know that that event is done because it wasn't processed. But unless you let go of this belief that there is something wrong with you, then working on those memories will not get you anywhere. This is really the first step to healing. You must first let go of the belief that you're broken and instead start to trust. And by doing this alone, your brain is sending one less stress response to the body, which means you're one step closer to healing. This is the absolute first step that I use with my clients outside of awareness. First we work on awareness, then we go into, let's start working on diving deep into where this is all connected to. The root cause, back to the subconscious work. And we can't work on that subconscious work, which are those memories, which are those shocks that you've had in your life, without letting go of this belief that there's something wrong and that you can't heal. Because that alone, those two things, or that whole idea that there's something wrong and you can't heal, is enough to stop your healing, prevent you from moving forward, because it's keeping your brain in a heightened state, constantly going in that conflict stage, and that because it thinks that there's something wrong. So it's never able to relax. So this is that crucial piece in between learning that awareness and starting to actually work on these subconscious references, these subconscious stresses that are all contributing to this physical manifestation that's happening. Now, you might be saying, okay, I get that this all starts in my subconscious, but if it starts there, then there must be something wrong there. No, my friend, this is not true. It's not true, and here's why. What is playing in your subconscious is not your fault. If your parents would have known everything that they did was going to program you, they would have done things differently. If you would have been given the tools to process events in a healthy way, those events would have been resolved. If you knew that the thoughts that you kept repeating in your mind would eventually become automatic, you would have made different choices. You and those around you didn't have the tools. There is no one to blame. No one is taught this information until something goes really bad in their life. Even then, sometimes this isn't something that people are made aware of. This should be a requirement for all parents to learn. This should be a requirement to be taught in school, to understand our brains, to understand how it's programmed, so we can, on some level, start from when we are very young to be the co-creators of our lives instead of waiting until we reach bad times in our life to make the changes. That's what this work is all about, and that's why I'm really passionate about what I do, because we not only make changes with the one-on-one clients that I work with, but those clients then pass this information to their children and their family, and we're making a difference in the world by just starting with this one student that takes the program and learns about the subconscious mind and passes it on to their children. And that's how we change the world. We change the world by changing our minds and teaching others that you have the ability to create your life. And that's extremely powerful. But now that you're an adult and realize that these programs are not working, it's up to you to change them if you want things in your life and your health to change. You're realizing as an adult, look, this isn't working for me anymore. Something isn't working. And if you're not liking what is happening in your life and your health, then it's time to take that personal responsibility to change it. You're an adult now and you can do that. And that's the power of this work, is you can unlearn everything that you've been programmed with. A majority of the work that my students do are unlearning these programs, unlearning these settings within our subconscious that we have been programmed with our entire life. Healing is about unlearning. There is learning as well, but unlearning is a very big contributor to this, because in order to move forward with a clean slate, we've got to unlearn everything that has kind of got us to this point. And now that you're an adult, it's time to do that if you're realizing things are not working for you. Your health isn't where you want it to be. Your life isn't where you want it to be. Now's the time to make those changes. The great news is that you are functioning perfectly. And the reason you are not getting the results you want is simply that the settings you are currently having in your subconscious are set for the results that you are getting. In order to get different results, you will need to change the settings. If you print a document from a computer and there are typos in that document, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the computer or the printer. It simply means you need to go back to the document on the computer and correct the typos. Then when the document prints again, you'll see on the paper exactly what you've seen on the screen. And you are the same. So what you are experiencing in your life is what is on your screen or in your subconscious. And when you change that, you'll see the changes in your behavior, choices, and experiences. You are simply printing what is in your subconscious. So no matter what is wrong, whatever symptoms you have going on, and whatever things in your life are happening, everything is working perfectly. There is nothing wrong with you. You are working exactly how your subconscious has been programmed to work, based on the original documents that it's holding inside the subconscious. From the day that you were conceived until now, there has been lots of programming, and that all needs to be worked on. But the first thing that you need to start with is realizing that there is nothing wrong with you. And once we work on that belief and get rid of that, we can dive into the next work, working on those programs. So I have lastly a couple of questions for you to help you let go of this belief even more. So this belief that there's something wrong with you. I want you to just take a moment to write down these questions, and when you get a moment, when you're in a quiet space, ask yourself these questions, and it will help you go even further of debunking this belief that there is something wrong. So the first question is this belief of thinking that there is something wrong with you the most useful for you right now? Is it useful to believe this? Is it helpful to believe this? The second question, what price are you going to pay if you continue to believe it? The price that you may pay with this is that you won't heal. That's the big consequence to this, is that if you continue to believe that it is true, the price you're going to pay is not healing, not moving forward, staying stuck where you're at. And how could it change your life if you didn't believe this? So if you believed that there was nothing wrong with your body and that you could heal, What difference would that make versus what you're thinking that there's something wrong? It could change your life completely because you would then trust your body, right? You'd be able to move forward with your healing, and you and your body would be a team together, working together, rather than trying to fight each other. Because that's what's happening when we don't believe that our bodies can heal themselves, and that we think that there's something wrong. You're fighting your body, and your body is trying to tell you a message, and you're not listening. And there's this constant battle going back and forth, which we really need there to be a team effort between the two of you in order for there to be moving forward with healing. What other belief could you adopt that would be more powerful in helping you heal? What other beliefs could you believe that would help you instead of this one, that there's something wrong? Maybe that I can heal, that my body can heal itself, that you can trust your body to do exactly what it's designed to do. Those are just some examples. So sit down and answer those questions for yourself and see what comes up. And you'll realize after you answer all those questions and then absorbing the information I shared with you today, that this belief really isn't true, and it's not worth believing, and it's time to let it go so that you can heal. These questions, along with the information I shared with you today, are enough to challenge and let go of this belief that there is something wrong. You give the meaning to everything in your life, including your symptoms and your current situation. The ability to heal is all within you. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope I have helped you debunk the belief that there is something wrong with you, and now you feel empowered to take back your health in a whole new way. So if you like what you heard today and want to continue learning how to keep healing simple by focusing on your subconscious mind, then please subscribe to this podcast. I look forward to sharing more information on how to keep healing simple with you each and every week. If you want to connect with me further, join my Facebook group by going to www.themindbodyrewire.com/group. You can also learn more about my Mind Body Rewire program at themindbodyrewire.com. That link will also be in the show notes. Thanks for listening. We'll talk again next week.